My name is Neoshi Green-Kebreau. I am a clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist. So I work with people all over the world. I work with people in every continent throughout the world. Everyone from the homeless to doctors to rich, poor, celebrities, things of that nature. Everybody. We're all literally going through the same shit. I can tell you that for a fact. We're all going through the same shit. With my sessions, my goal is to get to the root cause of the issues that you're dealing with. So in my sessions, we deal with a whole bunch of different things from, yes, of course, past life regression. Everybody knows me, probably know me from that. But we also do a lot of shadow work. We also do spirit releasement, or what people call entity releasement, energy releasement. And then we also connect with your spirit guides, ancestors, to help you get the answers and clarity that you need to move forward in life, to help you release whatever blockages that might be hindering you as well. In this group regression today, everybody, all of y'all will be going into hypnosis together, all at the same time. We're going to visit 2 past lives, a life in between lives, and 5, 10, and 20 years into the future. I will recommend that you are laying down if you can. Y'all ready? 20. Very small time. Notice if you feel young or old there. Welcome back. Who wants to share first?
I was surprised. I've never been somebody who wears a lot of white, but in a lot of the lifetimes that I saw, I was predominantly wearing white clothing. There's one that really shocked me. I killed somebody who trusted me. The way that I killed them was just awful, because I don't think they were expecting it. And then in another lifetime, which really hurt me, I felt like I was just racing through towns, killing women and children. I felt female, but I looked female, but I felt very masculine, very angry, very psychopathic. This person was having joy from taking lives. I definitely need a one-on-one, and there's a lot to unpack, I think, personally.
I could feel me like going through time, and it was almost like I was manipulating time. So I was hearing you, but my experiences took me to other places before I knew it. One scene that I won't forget is being tortured in a chamber. It was futuristic, but it wasn't. I don't know how to explain it. Technology was very advanced, as if it was like 2,000 plus years from now, but the scene was really back in the past. I was shielded with melanated skin, but my true self was blue and red specks. And so I was put in this chamber to reveal my identity. That was like one of my first scenes. So I was in this pressurized chamber that looked futuristic. It was blue scene, and there was people behind a glass, specifically like white men, and they were pressing buttons and doing certain artificial intelligence type stuff where they were keeping me from using my powers. They kept trying to tell me, like, you better do this or we're going to do this. It was just different torturing things where it was high tech. I kept feeling, when you were talking, pressures on my brain because they knew I had telepathic abilities, and they were trying to shut it off and disconnect it and only do what they wanted me to do. And I kept seeing my skin change as if my true skin was showing, but I was trying to hide it, and I was protecting my people from that time. And if they would have gotten that information that they were trying to get from me, then all my people will be in trouble.
I felt like maybe a little black girl. I had really heavily melanated dark skin. I was in a old house by myself. As I would walk, I could hear the wooden panels on the floor creak beneath my feet. I experienced myself running down the stairwell. I saw myself turn around and stare back up at the stairwell as if I was waiting for someone or something to come down, as if I was being chased. I ended up walking out of the house. It was really breezy that day. I mean, the wind was very strong. The wheat fields, the grass was really high, just blowing. There was a barn. I experienced a Caucasian male and like what seemed like a lab not too far from the barn. And I was just standing there, just watching everything. I was standing in the field, just wanting to be one with the breeze. And I was slapped down to the ground. I cradled my face. By this time I'm crying in shock, and I look, it was a different Caucasian male shouting or saying something, and then he spit on me. I just laid there, I rolled over onto my back, staring up at the sky, just kind of wishing I was somewhere else.
it had to been back during the roaring 20s time. And everybody was in a club with fancy dresses on. And I remember dancing, and I remember getting mad about something. I got mad at someone and I left. And when I left, I got in my car, which was it was an old school car, but it had a convertible top, and I had a bad car accident and I died. I could feel the pain of everything that happened.
I would say like 20s era. I was kind of like a jazz singer. I was living a good life. I just remember dancing, having a good time, singing. I was married. I flashed with the scene like I'm in a hospital having my baby. It's like somebody sedated me and like was taking my child. And I'm like screaming for my baby. And they're like, my husband is there. I'm not trusting him. It's like they're doing something with my baby and taking my baby. And then I go to another life.
I had saw myself, I was like in my 40s. What I was doing, I was in somebody's kitchen, like cooking for them. I seemed like I was kind of like a maid or a house. I don't know, like somebody that was in the industry of serving other people. And I was smoking a cigarette. Fast forwarded in, I was to the part where you find out how you die. And I had got shot in my stomach by some man. I don't know who it was, like in my stomach, like had the gun on me. And I was a young girl, but I was green. And I was in this fancy house with this nice stairwell and all this stuff. They had a little baby there and older lady there.
The first life, I was a Hispanic male trying to get some money because I had a family and I didn't have a lot of money. At some point, I became some type of chief for some tribe in the village. So I led a lot of ceremonies and did a lot of chanting. In one of these ceremonies, there was an attachment to one of the guys I was healing or cleansing. And then this attachment just became like kind of like a guide. Like he didn't cause any harm for me, but he followed me and I allowed him to continue being a part of my journey. My second past life, I was from India and I was a woman and my father had promised me to somebody very young. I hated my father. He was abusive. He was an alcoholic. So I fled India. So I was alienated from my family for a long period of time. I tried to go back and rescue my mom from her marriage. She didn't leave and she was like a shell of herself. Like I didn't know who she was anymore.
So the first time I was white male, privileged, living in sort of a European culture where I had armor and fighting with swords and that type of thing.
When I got really emotional, I was this kid. I believe I was in Egypt. My family was of lesser means, and we worked for this family that lived up in a castle or something. I started crying because I kept saying, I can heal it was a girl, and I knew that I could heal her. And I was a boy, but I knew I could heal her. And my family kept telling me, no, I wasn't allowed to do it. And when we went up to the castle, they had me sitting with her. I poured this serum in her mouth, and she was super sweaty, like she had this high fever, and I poured the serum in her mouth and it cured her. I ended up starving to death because they put me like in a jail type of place because I wouldn't tell them how I did it. I wouldn't tell them because I knew that they would misuse the gifts that I had so that they could appropriate it and then misuse it.
I couldn't see myself, but it's like I was a guard somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I saw like a Black lady and her child. They were like somewhere chained, like locked up somewhere. And I want to say it was like her husband. We had like separated them, and her husband, he was like chained, sitting on some kind of chair, like he was about to be sacrificed or something. I know I died in that session from trying to like sneaking and trying to help them like with food and stuff like that. I know in my second life, I was a child, but I was like a little warrior or something, like Japan or something. I don't know. I know I was like of Asian descent. Going further into that life, I want to say I was protecting like a princess or something. I don't know what she was. I don't know. But we were like kind of fooling around, and I wasn't supposed to be fooling with her, but we had a child. I know just later on they found out that I was the father of the child, and I was basically killed for messing around with her. It was crazy.
When we first went under, I saw a body wrapped at the ocean bottom because I was trying to reach it. I couldn't. I felt the water around me, also felt myself drowning. The next life was more Central South America type area, but just the feeling, the buildings, architecture. I remember being chained. Then I was entombed. and it was like an effort to silence me.
First, let me say that I'm going to need my own session. But in my first life, so I was a young Black woman in my 20s. I was dressed in all white and I was living in like some sort of village in a forest. I was a medicine woman. People came to me to get help with any physical or spiritual ailments that they had. One of the scenes that stuck out to me was that I was fighting a man with a knife and I ended up killing him. And it felt like I was protecting myself and others, but there wasn't anyone there with me. It was just the two of us. And it felt like I wasn't fighting him for something that happened in that moment. It was like it was a long time coming. Like he had it coming and I just happened to be the one there at that time to put an end to it.
I'm going to let y'all go. For those of you who talked about wanting to book a one-on-one session, feel free to do so whenever you're ready. Again, I don't have anything sooner than July 2023 right now, so you're going to be waiting a little bit.